There you go. Now you can go to jail.
No, come on.
Somebody take a photo.
It's being recorded. It's being recorded for it.
Stop.
641 Charlie, 642 Adam.
You are hurting me.
Well, walk. Stop resisting.
They were pedestrians walking down the street, or private citizens at home, or journalists on the scene during police action, all who realized the importance of taking photographs or recording video. Some were harassed, and some were arrested by the police for attempting to document what they saw. This could happen to you. Know your rights, and know your boundaries. It's been proven to matter. Journalists and citizen bystanders have helped keep police officers accountable for their actions by providing video and audio evidence of their interactions with people on the streets. Darnella Frazier was walking her cousin to the store at East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue in Minneapolis on May 25, 2020. She saw 4 police officers holding a black man, George Floyd, on the ground. From the sidewalk, Frazier pointed her cell phone and recorded a 10-minute, 9-second video of police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck.
Oh my God.
Bro, he's not even moving. Get off of his neck, bro. Get off of his neck.
En route to the hospital, Floyd was unresponsive and without a pulse. The emergency room doctor who tried to save Floyd's life said on the witness stand that he believed he died of a lack of oxygen. Here's where the video Frazier released publicly resulted in accountability for the police officers and the beginning of a worldwide political movement. Her video contradicted the original Minneapolis police report, which said Floyd appeared to be suffering medical distress after being stopped on suspicion of passing a counterfeit $20 bill. Her video was the cornerstone of the prosecutor's case against the officers. Instead of relying on witnesses and police reports, which are often disputed, prosecutors built their case around the video that provided clear documentation of what occurred. The day after Floyd's killing, the video went viral, and within the week, protests had spread to more than 75 cities around the world, including London, Paris, and Sydney, with demonstrators demanding reforms to address police brutality and systemic racism. Frazier, just 17 years old when she recorded the video, was recognized with a 2021 Pulitzer Prize Special Citation for highlighting the crucial role of citizens in journalists' quest for truth and justice. Police holding George Floyd to the ground did not demand that Darnella Frazier stop recording the incident. And increasingly, law enforcement agencies throughout the U.S. have adopted technology in the form of body cameras and dashboard cameras to record police officers' activities in an effort to improve public safety, increase evidence quality, reduce civilian complaints, and reduce the police department's liabilities. Throughout the country, journalists and bystanders encounter confrontations in the street with police officers and take out their cell phones and start recording. In many instances, the police order them to stop. Not knowing they have a right to record, people put their cell phones away. When they refuse to stop recording, the police will often arrest and handcuff them. Such was the case for veteran journalist Susan Green, a reporter and editor with the Colorado Independent. The police department utilizes body cameras, which captured this unlawful harassment and arrest of Green, who stopped to record the scene of police officers standing around a naked, handcuffed black man on July 5, 2018. An investigative reporter with experience covering police violence, Green pulled over to record the encounter with her iPhone. The 2 officers on the scene ordered her to stop, citing the naked man's privacy rights.
This is protected by HIPAA. You can't record it.
Health Information Privacy and Protection Act.
There's also a First Amendment. Have you heard of it?
Well, that doesn't supersede HIPAA.
It doesn't supersede HIPAA. Just step away,
Hold on.
or you'll be arrested for interference. Step away, or you'll be arrested for interference.
When Green refused to stop recording, invoking the First Amendment, the officers seized her phone, handcuffed her, and pushed her into a police car.
Stand up straight and act like a lady.
Stand up and act like a lady.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
They act like a lady?
There you go. Now you can go to jail.
Although Green's phone was taken from her, the police promptly released her and returned her phone soon after. So, what was the outcome? More than a year following the incident, the Denver City Council signed a check to Green for $50,000, and both officers were docked 2 days' pay. The Denver Police Department agreed to strengthen First Amendment training for its officers and update its policies on police bias and seizure of recording devices. Important lessons flow from the encounter between Susan Green and the Denver police officers. Journalists and bystanders enjoy a First Amendment right to record police officers doing their official duties in public. That right, however, is not absolute. The past 3 decades have produced a national culture in which all cell phone owners have the capability of performing as citizen journalists. It's the inevitable result of improvements in cell phone video technology and the abrupt growth in phone ownership from preteens to retirees. In the 1990s, citizen journalists had to record footage on handheld video recorders, take their footage to their hometown TV station, and hope it would air on local news. As a practical matter, few people carried these video recorders with them on the street, so very few spontaneous recordings were made of police making arrests. Today, more than 270 million Americans own smartphones, giving them the ability to record and share news instantaneously on social media. In effect, every bystander can use their phone today to be a news gatherer who can instantaneously upload images to the internet. More than 30 years ago, a Los Angeles plumber's recording of police misconduct captured pivotal moments in the police beating of Rodney King. But the technology to record and distribute videos was far less advanced in 1991. George Holliday used a handheld video recorder to tape the brutal beating of King. He sold the videotape to local TV station KTLA. The brutality captured in the video was a catalyst, which sparked 6 days of rioting in Los Angeles.
People, I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
A year later, after the police officers involved in the King beating were acquitted, it spurred a nationwide debate about police officers' treatment of minorities. More than a decade ago, the killing of Trayvon Martin by George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch captain in Sanford, Florida, was the catalyst for the Black Lives Matter movement. And in rapid succession since, there are notable examples of bystanders recording video which document deadly police actions. The videos have propelled global outrage through social media with words of the dying and related hashtags including I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Hands up. Don't shoot. Hands up. Don't shoot. Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, shut it down. Shut it down. Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, shut it down. Shut it down.
The summer and fall of 2014 shows the significant impact of viral videos. In July 2014, police accused Eric Garner, a 43-year-old black man, of selling individual untaxed cigarettes called Lucy's. Garner pleaded not to be detained. His friend, Ramsey Orta, recorded the arrest on his cell phone. 5 officers swarmed Garner, wrestled him to the ground, and handcuffed him.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
During the scuffle, Officer Daniel Pantaleo put Garner in a chokehold, a maneuver prohibited by the New York Police Department. The footage shows Garner pleading for help. I can't breathe, his plea for release, was repeated 11 times. Garner was not given CPR by the officers or the first responders who arrived on the scene. He was taken to a local medical center and pronounced dead. The medical examiner ruled Garner's death a homicide as a result of the chokehold.
If you witness something, you know, record it as best as you can, get all the details, because you might save somebody's life. You might not save the individual's life right then and there, but down the line, you're going to save other people's lives because things start happening after that.
The video ignited weeks of protests throughout the U.S.
We hope that this is the beginning. We hope that it grows. We hope that change comes from this.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
The phenomenon of using cell phones to record police officers has been highly controversial. Many times, police officers have ordered journalists or bystanders to stop recording and have arrested those who refuse to follow orders. Are these demands and arrests lawful? Do journalists and bystanders have a right to make these recordings? The answer to those legal outcomes is clear because of the many cases that have been decided by the federal courts. As of March 2023, a majority of the 13 U.S. courts of appeals have clearly stated that journalists and bystanders enjoy a First Amendment right to record police officers engaged in their official conduct in public. In public means activities in public streets, sidewalks, and parks. The right is not absolute. The right is lost if the person recording a scene with a cell phone interferes with the police carrying out their duties. Because of these rulings, 76% of the U.S. population now live in states where federal appeals courts have recognized a First Amendment right to record. The U.S. Supreme Court has not ruled on the issue. As a result, legal protections are fully secure only in those jurisdictions where federal appeals courts have issued an opinion. However, given the resounding support so far for this First Amendment protection, it seems highly likely that the remaining federal appeal courts would reach the same conclusion if the issue appeared on their docket. In addition to the powerful First Amendment protections for recording video of police working in public, states may have laws that provide additional protection. For example, a law in New York, effective July 2020, provides protection for the right of individuals to make recordings of police. It's important to understand why federal courts have protected the right to record. The answer goes to the nature of representative government in the United States. Since the founding of the nation, it's been fundamental to our form of government that public officials serve the people and are accountable to them.
To the founding generation, the liberties of speech and press were intimately connected with popular sovereignty and the right of the people to see, examine, and be informed of their government.
If public officials at any level abuse the public trust, the people have the means to investigate wrongdoing, institute reforms, and remove offending officials from their positions. The press serves a vital role in this system of accountability. Many reforms have come about because of journalists investigating and writing about official wrongdoing. Video recordings are one of the most recent tools that journalists and others use to document the work of police officers when they interact with people in public spaces. To protect the press in this watchdog role, the Supreme Court has recognized First Amendment protections for collecting and reporting information. In Brandsburg v. Hayes, 1972, the High Court held that
without some protection for seeking out the news, freedom of the press could be eviscerated.
And in First National Bank of Boston v. Bellotti, 1978, the Supreme Court held that the First Amendment
goes beyond the protection of the press and the self-expression of individuals to prohibit government from limiting the stock of information from which members of the public may draw.
This particular stock of information, recordings of police officers carrying out their duties in public, is critically important in the ability of citizens to hold the government accountable, a central tenet of the First Amendment.
In our society, police officers are expected to endure significant burdens caused by citizens' exercise of their First Amendment rights.
It is important to note that the First Amendment right that these federal appeals courts are protecting applies not just to journalists. They apply equally to bystanders. Because nearly everyone has a cell phone, bystanders now have the capability to document news in a way that only journalists and film crews could do in the past. The courts have ruled definitively that bystanders have the same First Amendment rights as journalists in gathering the news. The Supreme Court has been reluctant to define what constitutes a news person for purposes of constitutional protection. stating that such an effort
would present practical and conceptual difficulties of a high order.
After all, the press cannot be licensed in the United States, and so identifying a member of the press involves more difficulty than identifying a doctor or a lawyer. Any person can find themselves in a position of collecting and distributing news because of the availability of cell phones and distribution via social media.
The First Amendment right to gather news is not one that inures solely to the benefit of the news media. Rather, the public's right of access to information is coextensive with that of the incorporated press. Ensuring the public's right to gather information about their officials not only aids in the uncovering of abuses, but also may have a salutary effect on the functioning of government more generally.
Videos have stimulated widespread debate about how to reform harmful policing practices. The courts have had to face another serious question about First Amendment protection. The First Amendment safeguards a completed editorial project. An article or video is protected speech. But what about the act of recording the video, using the camera, making the recording, and everything else having to do with the creation of the image? Is this protected speech or unprotected action? The Federal Appeals Court have ruled that the First Amendment protects the act of recording as a crucial corollary to the right to publish and distribute the recording. Courts recognize that the recording of video and audio is closely intertwined with the eventual dissemination of the information. Use of recording technology enables protected speech to occur, and so the First Amendment must shield both.
The act of making an audio or audiovisual recording is necessarily included within the First Amendment's guarantee of speech and press rights as a corollary of the right to disseminate the resulting recording. The right to publish or broadcast an audio or audiovisual recording would be insecure or largely ineffective if the antecedent act of making the recording is wholly unprotected. By way of simple analogy, banning photography or note-taking at a public event would raise serious First Amendment concerns. A law of that sort would obviously affect the right to publish the resulting photograph or disseminate a report derived from the notes. The same is true of a ban on audio and audiovisual recording.
Although the courts have recognized the First Amendment right to record the work of police officers in public, the right is not absolute. It is important to understand that recording in public is subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. These are restrictions imposed on speech that are designed to maintain public safety and other valid concerns. Courts use a three-pronged test to assess whether they are consistent with the First Amendment.
1. Restrictions must be content neutral, meaning that they cannot be aimed at speech based on the subject matter or viewpoints one doesn't like. So, for example, the police may not stop a person from recording because they think it will show misconduct. 2. They must be narrowly tailored to serve a significant government interest. So any restrictions on recording must be precisely designed to respond to legitimate concerns about public safety and the ability of police to do their job. 3. And they must leave open alternative channels of communication. This means a ban on all recording from any vantage point might be a violation, unless, for example, there were an active shooter crisis that reasonably required clearing the streets.
So, a local government could prohibit a protest taking place at 1 a.m. in a residential neighborhood to preserve peace and quiet during normal sleeping hours. As applied to the recording of police officers, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals said,
"It goes without saying that the police may take all reasonable steps to maintain safety and control, secure crime scenes and accident sites, and protect the integrity and confidentiality of investigations. While an officer surely cannot issue a move-on order to a person because he is recording, the police may order bystanders to disperse for reasons related to public safety and order and other legitimate law enforcement needs.
Here are 7 real-life situations which may come into play.
1. Direct interference with police activity, such as standing in the way of police, witnesses, emergency responders. 2. Actions that affect the safety of officers, witnesses, victims, or third parties. 3. Blocking traffic. 4. Blocking building entrances. 5. Hindering movement of pedestrians. 6. Entering a marked-off crime scene. 7. Police dealing with an active shooter situation.
It's important to emphasize that the court's decisions discussed here relate to the recording of police officers performing their duties in public, on streets, on sidewalks, and in public parks. Journalists and bystanders do not have First Amendment protection to follow police officers when they go onto private property. They can record from a street or sidewalk, but entering private property without permission of the person who owns or occupies the property may be trespassing. Also, police cannot grant valid permission to journalists to follow them onto private property. Police cannot seize or view smartphone recordings. It is critical to understand that the search and seizure laws also apply to the question of recording police. In the landmark case of Riley versus California, the U.S. Supreme Court said the Fourth Amendment prohibits police from seizing a person's recording device or later searching through its contents. In writing for a unanimous court, Chief Justice Roberts said,
Modern cell phones are not just another technological convenience. With all they contain and all they may reveal, they hold for many Americans the privacies of life. The fact that technology now allows an individual to carry such information in his hand does not make the information any less worthy of the protection for which the founders fought.
While it's possible for state legislatures to make and pass laws that provide additional protection for making video recordings, the opposite is also true. In July 2022, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill that enabled law enforcement personnel to restrict filming police from less than 8 feet away, and those journalists and public wanting to remain in closer proximity would need police permission to do so. This state limitation is in conflict with the 2018 Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling, which emphasized the First Amendment protects the right to photograph and record matters of public interest. There was no hesitancy among free press and media legal scholars who were asked whether the law was constitutional. It wasn't. They based their views on numerous rulings of federal appeals courts on the issue, and these same free press and media associations took their objections to the courts. In September 2022, a federal judge blocked the 8-foot state law before it went into effect. The judge determined that the law was content-based restriction on speech and violated the First Amendment. This law went up against clearly established rights provided by the Constitution and lost. Advances in technology have propelled journalists and citizens alike to greater First Amendment rights to record police and other government officials in public. Each situation provides its own particular set of conditions. Some facilitate and protect citizens, and others restrict them.
You have a First Amendment right to take photos and record videos on public streets, sidewalks, and parks. Both members of the media and the general public have the right to collect information. Trespassing on private property is not protected. If the police tell you to back up, you should. Crime scenes require space for police to do their job. If police tell you to stop recording, do you obey? We suggest you respectfully tell police you have a First Amendment right to record in public spaces. Record your interaction with the police. If the police insist and you continue, you could be arrested. More effective is to obey the police order but remain nearby to observe what the police didn't want you to see. Consider contacting a First Amendment group to discuss what happened to you.
The importance that the First Amendment provides in the right to record police is evident. During the George Floyd trial, following the conviction and sentencing of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, Judge Peter Cahill made numerous references to the extensive video evidence presented during the trial, and that made all the difference.
So you just gotta remain strong in all aspects behind, exercising your First Amendment. You have to be strong.